Hello, everyone. I'm Gemma Starr, and welcome to another episode of Manspeak. Manspeak is an offshoot to our Heart Warrior series where some of our Heart Warriors come back and they have a whole other episode talking about subjects that they are particularly full of wisdom, embodied in, and that passionate and close to their hearts. And today we have the return for the third Manspeak of our Heart Warrior number 19, and that is Kevin Orosz. Now, Kevin is an amazing dating relationship polarity coach, and make sure you check out his other episodes here on the channel. So today, Kevin is back. Thank you, Kevin. And he's going to be talking about the seemingly complex or more baffling subject of why men get friend zoned. And yeah, as a woman, I can really feel into the energetics of this. So excited to get Kevin's articulation of this. And I'm sure it's going to help a lot of men out there and also us women to understand exactly what's going on in our bodies when we just don't feel that attraction for a man who seemingly on paper ticks all the boxes. So again, grateful to have Kevin here and also you guys. Thanks for watching. Hello, Kevin. Welcome back to Manspeak. So thrilled to have you here again.
Great to see you, Gemma. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, you're more than welcome. And I was just thinking as I was waiting, to start this show, you're such an incredible coach, because what I like about you is that you've also got an understanding of the metaphysical and the spiritual divine union. So I was just thinking, if I ever had to go to anyone for advice or coaching, it would definitely be you. So more than happy to have you
Thank you for saying that.
combine those elements. So today, this is a subject I've been aware of, but someone brought it up on my page, and I thought, yes, this is a really important subject to delve into and get an understanding for both, well, especially men, but also women. Because as I said in my intro, it's something we feel. We're either attracted to someone or we're not, and often we can't articulate why. Like on paper, they seem like a great guy. They're on the path of the heart, they're trying to do everything to please the feminine, and we just can't put words to our feelings why we're not attracted. And men, maybe, I don't know, you can speak from maybe your past or your clients, they also can't understand, well, why don't we even give them a chance? So what's your understanding of the friend zone? And then we can expand and get into the energetics.
Yeah, it's a fascinating topic, one that obviously comes up a ton. I've seen it in my own life deeply, and also over 8 years of coaching with a ton of clients, because you have to realize that all the social dynamics, all mating, dating, sexuality, it all evolved in a very small tribal context, in a village context. This is the idea of Dunbar's number, which, people will sometimes dispute, but there's a ton of evidence. I invite anyone to do their own research. Anthropologists studying primates and also ancient humans, we know that we lived in little hunter-gatherer bands. Before agriculture, we didn't just live in one place and have 12 kids and then stay there forever and pass on our wealth. It was very much a small group. So it's about 100 to 250, depending on how you measure it. So just imagine, in that kind of group size, you live and die based on the men and women around you. Can you trust them? Who's mating with who? Who's the best hunter? Who's the healer? Who's in charge of tending to the wounded? Who's really good at predicting where the weather will be or a safe place to be? Or they're really good at dealing with other tribes that maybe want to kill you and take your meat, or maybe they want to trade. So in that context, just imagine dating, and all the rest of what I will share will start to make sense if you really put yourself in that context and you're like, huh, who am I attracted to? And obviously it's not a big breeding pool. So some of those people are probably related, and obviously we don't want to, you know, be incestuous or like dampen the gene pool, but humanity survived for tens of thousands of years in that model. Some would say millions of years, although mainstream archaeology, there's a bunch of disputes around what the dates are, right? I believe it's way older than the numbers they're giving us, but hey, I'm not an archaeologist. So um, the friend zone is a strategy mainly used by women. Now, men do friend zone women. It does happen, but it's not as common. I mean, some women, yes, will be like, "Oh, I feel like I'm in the friend zone with this man. I'm really attracted to him. I would date him." I don't hear that nearly as much as men being put in the friend zone, and that's for a very easy reason. Um, Women choose. So men compete, women choose, you know. The egg, even there's evidence that the egg chooses the sperm, you know, it's about female choice. And this is like some of this stuff's Darwinian. And like I know in the spiritual community, people hate hearing this because it's like, no, it's based on souls and past lives together. And like, it's like that might also be true. I don't know. But this stuff's all observable in your own life. And obviously, take it all with a grain of salt. It doesn't mean that you have to act this way. I geek out on this with evolutionary, you know, psychology and mating strategies. And, you know, this is something I've put a decent amount of hours into studying, certainly not 10,000, but I find it very fascinating. Um, Friend zoning is a strategy to keep male attention and kinship bonds, which means survival, protection, safety, division of labor, without risking sexual competition for who gets to father what children, men fighting over the highest value female mates, and also, you know, the danger where, you know, the bonds and the emotion involved with mating with a new man, you don't know if that man is violent or not. You don't know if that man is going to get jealous and like beat the shit out of your other partner you had previously. So a lot of it actually is evolved to create safety and social cues and to help us relate to each other. Now, obviously, you know, we're not cavemen and women anymore. We're not, you know, traveling on the Great Plains, following the herds, hunting them. Now you can get on Tinder and meet someone a continent away out of a sea of billions of men and women and date them, meet them, you know, travel to meet someone. Your dating pool is unlimited. So in the modern context, I really see the friend zone as it's a place to play it safe. So a lot of men and women, unfortunately, they're playing the numbers game. And of course they would because there's a glut or a abundance of choice. So friend zoning is a it's a great place to keep someone on the bench. So they're not your first pick of a mate. And I'm speaking about intentional friend zoning, which might be unconscious. It may not be a choice you're making, like you're thinking about this. It's a way to do mate switching or mate selection, ultimately. Now, some people are probably already thinking, well, men and women can just be friends. You're not being friend zoned. You're just friends. And it's like, yes, that's true. Most of the time, though, if you dig deeper, in the small case study, you know, maybe several hundred people I've spoken to with this and worked with, and the several thousand maybe I've polled over the years, I find that it's almost never that they're choosing a friendship with the other person. That's almost never the reason. People will say that's the reason. And I believe, and this might be a hot take for some folks, that's just advocating responsibility. The responsible thing, and I'm old school with this. And this is what I teach a lot of clients because it actually works. It's not always pretty, is just have the respect, have the courage to be disliked, to have the uncomfortable conversation. I feel the attraction with you. I do not want to date you. And actually, I don't think we should be friends either. A lot of people in that moment, they'll be like, oh, I'm not looking for anything more, but we can be friends. Most of the time, it's people pleasing. And you drag that person on and you create these really weird transactional patterns a lot of the time. Not always. If you genuinely want to be friends with someone, you don't need to tell them that they're in the friend zone, or you just become friends and it's genuine. So that's really like my red flag goes up. If a man and a woman who are maybe sexually attracted to each other, maybe not, are deep friends, they don't need to talk about, oh, let's just be, they don't need to talk about that. They're actually just friends in a platonic way. And that's unfortunately, I think, rare in this day and age, um, for many reasons, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, and I mustn't forget, I think we'll do things sort of in my sort of mismatch order, but to get to that at the end where you know, a woman's responsibility as well to be upfront with a man. Um, so the energetics, so a man might be thinking, this is my experience from what I understand, you know, hey, what's wrong with me? You know, why aren't I attracting women like that guy over there? Women only like the bad boy. What's the distinction between the bad boy, the healthy masculine, and the man who is friend zoned?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, and obviously it's case by case, but people hate these terms. They say it's toxic masculinity, but they are useful of like the idea of like an alpha or beta energy. And this works for women too. It's just where are you in the social hierarchy? What traits are you displaying? It's not like, oh, all alphas are toxic, abusive assholes, which is just simply not true. Um, it's about displaying your sexual value and value as a mate. So a strong man who might be fit, he might be very assertive to the point of being seen as a bad boy because he doesn't actually care about certain opinions because he's just doing his thing. Now, obviously, that also can come with other negative traits like addiction or being low emotional intelligence, etc. So there's a lot of correlations here, of course, but it's not always the case. There's plenty of men that are beautiful, strong, very assertive men that would be seen as bad boys or alphas that will be preferred by women in a certain season of their life. Maybe when they're ovulating, maybe when they're younger and they're much more experimenting with the type of relationship. Of course, they're going to choose that bad boy over a man who's very much people pleasing, not displaying those traits, because ultimately the women are bearing the cost. They're the ones that grow a child in their body, a new little soul. So they have to be very choosy. And often the alpha or the bad boy, why women, even in the conscious community, they're like, I want a king, I want a divine masculine. And then they'll still have the one night stand with the guy that their girlfriends are like, what were you thinking? And it's like, it's ancient. It's choosing that man because he was actually masculine, even if there were toxic traits. He was assertive, he was direct, he's not asking for permission, he's not trying to tiptoe around your stuff. Obviously there has to be consent, but if that woman's consenting to be with that man, of course. Whereas the guy left in the friend zone is like, I don't get it. What does he have? I understand her feelings more. I listen more. I did all these things for her. And that's exactly the trap. Women don't want a man that's treating them like their mom or treating them like a sister. Oh, let me do these things for you. Let me do all these chores for you. Oh, I'll listen to you. Tell me about the other guys that hurt you. That's not what most women want. Most women, this is a generalization. So if you're listening, situate yourself in the conversation before you comment, this is bullshit. Like, without fail, someone will say it, and I'm fine with that. Most women want a life that they can step into with a man who has a lot going for him. That means financial, social status. He has purpose and vision. He's connected to God. He has strong male friendships. He has a strong body, a strong mind. That's what women crave. It's not a man where they're like, this guy's all focused on me. He's putting me on a pedestal. He's just being very passive. Some women will be attracted to those guys in different phases of life because those men can be a very safe type of partner. They can make good fathers. So ultimately, everyone can win. It's not a zero-sum game, ultimately.
Now, I'd really like to get into these qualities because I'm thinking of the men who are watching who feel they have been friend zoned and really want to understand the differences. So, first of all, what are the three main qualities that turn women off, apart from the obvious, you know, like violence, whatever? But say a man in who's friend zoned, what could possibly be three qualities that he might be misunderstanding that are not getting him making him attractive to the women that he's attracted to?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, it's like, it's not a great word for it, but it's confidence and all the qualities that come with that. So a confident man is not going to sit there and keep asking a woman that he wants to date, oh, where do you want to go to eat? What do you want to do? What is this? Or like when he's speaking up or he's in public in the social dynamic, he just says his piece. He shoots his shot. He's not hesitating. He's not indecisive. You know, that kind of is the number one trait. The other thing is they want to feel safe. So if a man is very much not in his body or he's not very like aware of the environment, and like say the woman's getting heckled by another man or something while they're out together, she's looking at that like, can I actually be safe with this guy? Is he going to cover me and protect me, even energetically? And a lot of those guys in the friend zone, they don't even realize that they're completely missing out on that. They're not even aware of it. They're unattuned to it. Which, you know, all this stuff can be trained. I think the third one would be there is a piece of eros or polarity, whatever you want to call it, the erotic, like kind of tension of sexuality that is spontaneous. And it's also very direct. And like, if you can't flirt, if you can't hold that tension, women are not going to be attracted. Now, it depends on what part of their cycle they're in. Because again, women choose mates. There's tons of studies that prove this. Women choose their mates and the type of men they're attracted to differently based on whether they're ovulating or not, where they are in their moon cycle. So there's a lot of variance here. But I think a lot of the guys end up in the friend zone. I mean, this is what I would tell a man that I'm working with as a coach is like, your time would be better spent increasing your purpose, training your body, joining a men's circle, building brotherhood, and just going all in on becoming the strongest man than waiting around for a woman you have a crush on in the friend zone. Like you should completely just, you know, you can still be in contact, obviously, but you should spend 0% of your time trying to get her to notice you in the friend zone or trying to argue like, well, why am I in the friend zone? Like, this is what I can do for you. Like she's giving you her answer.
And I want to get on to the qualities that of the man who isn't in the friend zone, but I need to qualify your point of focusing on mission, because I know as a woman, well, I guess in my stage of awareness, the attraction for a man who is on a mission, more so what I would term, you know, a divine mission, working for the good, working for humanity, is very attractive to a woman. Right? Yeah. So, and oh yeah, I also loved what you said about this sort of this flirting. So I know, well, I'm sure, you know, as most women on social media, you know, we get hit on a lot. I mean, respectfully, you know, but it's often just a little test in the inbox, you know, which I mean, often doesn't even get a response or a read or, you know, so what can you give tips to men about this flirting dynamic? Like if they do want to approach a woman and, you know, instead of just a hi in the inbox, what would you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, this is about just being confident in your own skin. And like the worst thing that's going to happen is you get rejected and she says no or she's not interested. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. And a lot of men, you know, including myself in the past, if I can do it, you know, any man can do it. I'm not extraordinary. You just have to put in reps. Like you have to get comfortable falling on your face. Maybe you misread the situation. If you're doing it in DMs and online, you know, flirting and like, you know, approaching a woman that you're attracted to is an art. You need to be able to carry a conversation, be interesting, not just say like hi or like, you know, I like you, you're pretty. Like, and it's just like you got to imagine how many women have received hundreds, thousands of those messages and they just do not work. And I think a lot of guys give up way too soon. A lot of guys also just, you need to escalate slash state your desire quickly. Like your goal is not to ask 20 questions or learn her life story. It's to quickly kind of raise your hand and be like, I'm interested in you. I would like to, you know, get on a FaceTime, take you on a date. Maybe there's a little flirting already. Just be direct. Like a lot of men just are not direct. And you talk to women, you know, clients, women I'm working with, polls, they're craving. They're like, men, just tell the truth, be direct. Like we're waiting for it. And like a lot of men are afraid that if they told the truth about their desire, you know, something would happen. And the worst thing that's going to happen is she just says no.
Oh, this is so good and so true. Okay, so while we're on it, let's talk about this fear of rejection that I think, from what you just said there, is stopping men from being direct. And women love directness. Like, even if it's a guy we're not attracted to, we will have immense respect that a guy gets in our inbox and respectfully, shares their intent. So, how do men get over this fear of rejection?
Yeah, I mean, exposure therapy is kind of the only way, which is just get rejected a lot. I mean, there's no easy way to do it. Like, it still comes up probably till the day you die. Like, I have done public speaking. I've, sold high ticket, offers. I've been in a lot of these situations where rejection has like stakes. I've been rejected. I've been on stages where like it goes silent, when I'm doing comedy or something, and like, I've been heckled, and it never goes away. The fear, the like, oh fuck, am I not good enough? I'm not worthy. Like, who am I to be sharing this? Or, rejection comes in many forms, but in the romantic department, the real pain of rejection is just, am I willing to feel what's in my body? Like, I can remember back to when I was dating and really like actively trying to like push these boundaries in myself of like, all right, like, get over this fear. It's bullshit. And it's just how, I mean, for me, and I'm sure a lot of men will relate, it's just a fear of feeling the feeling of like, I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I'm unlovable. Women don't desire me. And it's just like, the feeling's heavy. But that's just sensation in your body. The actual suffering happens when you go into the stories. I'll never find a girlfriend that's good enough. Those guys have those hot women and I'll never get them. And then I'm just, no, I'm going to die alone. The spiral of the thoughts is where you suffer. And so that's just where, as a man, you know, go work out, go take a cold shower, go walk in nature, go cry, go pray. Like, shit, you have to be able to move through that, just like anything else in life, and a lot of guys, like, I had a client earlier this year. I'm like, your job this month is to make 30 approaches to women that you are attracted to, no matter what. And within like 10 or 15, he's having huge breakthroughs about the fear of rejection and what it means to him. And like, and he got a lot of numbers and we went on some dates, even times he thought he would fail for sure. So it is a numbers game too, unfortunately, for the guys out there that want like a spiritual shortcut or something.
Yeah. And as women, I think energetically we can feel, is a man approaching us just for sex? And I know sex is important and beautiful part of a relationship, but there's got to be more. And so I think, how would you advise men, sorry, to ensure that that is not the message that they're passing? Like, I understand it can be an attraction, and obviously that is an energetic, especially of the masculine in pursuit. But how does a man distinguish being felt as only after, the sex, or is he's got more to present than just that? That's like the icing on the cake.
Yeah, if you're interested in just sexuality and just having a lover or whatever, a fling, whatever you want to call it, you just need to be 100% upfront about that and just show your hand, be honest, get consent. Like, there's a lot of women that also want that. So there's nothing wrong with, but like, most men will go in and act like they want to date and it could be a long term, I'm not sure, but they know in their heart they just want sex. And that's okay. It's okay to want that. But when you deceive or withhold that, you're going to set up a lot of pain. So you just have to be 100% honest and direct. And women, like you said, can feel it. Now, the sad part is, and this is where, hearts get broken and trauma is created. A lot of women I work with feel it, they know it, they see the red flags, their intuition tells them, and they do it anyway because they believe he'll either change his mind after they have sex, maybe now he'll want to love and date and commit to me, etc. And that's really where men and women have responsibility to hold your boundaries and never doubt your intuition. It's always right.
Yes. Okay, so we spoke about three qualities of the friend zoned man. Now, for the man who's not friend zoned, because I mean, there are men that can basically have any woman they choose, and there's men that can't get any men. So you spoke about confidence being maybe number one. Are there a couple more? What are the other important ones that men need to understand if they're looking into why they're being friend zoned?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like you said, some men can get any woman. Like there's the normal distribution or the Pareto distribution, both show this is in nature, this is in human mating. You know, you have most men, like 80 to 90%, every man usually will find a woman for them, and maybe if they want to, they'll get married and have kids. Even the guy that thinks he's ugly and worthless, he'll find a woman, like if you don't stop trying. But 5 to 10% or even smaller of men, professional athletes, men in positions of power, MMA fighters, politicians, celebrities, blah, 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 blah. They have the lion's share of selection with women, and they have, more kids, more sexual encounters, etc., marriages and divorces than a lot of the other like 80 to 90% of men combined. So there is a crazy asymmetrical relationship in mating. It also works the same for women. Now, why that is, we don't know, but it's observable. You can tell the story you want about that, but it's real. And because of that, like you said, women will just be attracted to them. And that's not, some of it is genetic, let's say, or you're born with it. Of course, we can't deny that reality. But there are tons of men who have developed themselves, because you can be born looking like a supermodel as a man or woman, but that only goes so far. If you haven't developed your IQ, EQ, your intelligence, your sensitivity, your sense of art and taste, your purpose, your skill set, all of that, doesn't matter how good looking you are. So those men, it's not just that they're physically attractive, it's that they're emotionally and psychologically attractive as well, because they've developed themselves. And women are feeling that. Like women are bonding more on the feeling they get with the man, not just, the size of his cock or the shape of his body, right? Like this is not a priority for most women. Still very important. And it's also based on, if I get pregnant with this man, can he protect and provide for me and those children? It's very primal.
Yeah.
And those markers in men have to do with confidence, being assertive and direct, decisive, being able to produce financially, and also being able to focus on his purpose and bond with other men. What you'll notice about a lot of those guys, they don't have a bunch of girlfriends.
Mm.
Some guys in the friend zone, they'll say, oh, all my friends are girls.
Yeah.
This is always a yellow to red flag for me, because a man who's really going all in, of course you can have female friends, but like for me, like I have some sisters, female friends I really trust. Do I hang out with them alone? Do I call them when I have a problem? No, that's all men, men's circle, brotherhood, mentors. I see them because they're the partner of one of my friends or in the tribe, in the community.
Mm.
So men that are very attractive to women in this, I mean, bad boy is the wrong way to look at it, but they're in that category. They're not hanging around with women all the time and talking, sharing their feelings, hanging one-on-one with women they're not attracted to or committed to. That's a big pattern. And I think a lot of people, that one grinds their gears. And a lot of those people have just never enjoyed the ancient DNA of just men, just women, men and women's business, men and women's circles, men and women's connection, which is really a sad thing in the modern world. It's like, it's being brought back, of course. So many people are reawakening that, but it's really one of the most essential things in my own life that has helped me with this.
Wow. Now there's two subject questions I've got to remember here. So the first one, I will expand on what you said so beautifully about, let's say, good-looking men. So good-looking men, okay, always going to get one look from women. But I think women who have done, let's say, the inner work and are looking for something deeper, it could be the best-looking guy in the world, but he'll only get one glance and will feel it's all superficial. And that's what his only quality that he counts on to bring to the world and attract women. Whereas we can see another man who might not, well, be the best looking guy, or, be very sort of, if you were, scoring it below average, but, he's well groomed, his clothes are clean, he's got good hygiene, he's focused on his mission, he's got good EQ, good communication skills, he's in his masculine, and we can feel a lot of attraction for that man. So just saying, to men out there, especially men that are looking for, a more divine partnership, it's not all looks by any means. Looks are the icing on the cake, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is what you hear from most women when they are honest, what you shared.
Yeah, great. Now, the other thing is what came to mind when you were talking about men hanging out with a lot of women all the time. Because I have done a couple of interviews with John Gray, and he's very into the hormones and the energetics there. Now, is it from your understanding, because when men hang out with a lot of women, their estrogen will rise and their testosterone will drop, and that automatically puts them in their feminine energy and detracts from their masculine energy? Is that your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, there's research to support that. I think it makes a lot of sense to me.
Definitely. So it must be on an energetic level. We can sense a man's level of testosterone. So,
And
okay,
on a physical level through pheromones as well.
yeah. So, how would what would you say to men who are looking to increase their testosterone? What can they do? And does that deplete with age in a man?
Well, they can do a lot. Yes, it decreases in age theoretically, although you go to the Maasai in Africa, you go to some of these tribes that are still living on the earth, the men in their 60s, jacked, muscled, strong, jawline. I bet if you tested them, their testosterone's higher than like 20-year-olds in the Western world. And that's really the sad thing about our world is like, my grandfather, for example, would have like 400% higher testosterone than me, probably. On average. I don't know. I've actually never had it tested. Um, might be something fascinating to do. I just hate needles, but um, there is a huge issue with testosterone decreasing across all the studies they've done over the past several decades. Many reasons, you know, polyunsaturated fatty acids, the clothing we're wearing, the underwear, all the synthetics there, all the things in tap water, you know, processed food, not sleeping well enough, EMFs, electricity, hanging out with women or being stressed all the time, which blocks testosterone by secreting cortisol. There's tons of reasons. I mean, the most simple things that increase testosterone are the most basic: sunlight, deep sleep, earthing and grounding on actual dirt and grass, and heavy lifting, heavy strenuous exercise, sprinting, lifting weights, not necessarily marathon running, not necessarily yoga, although those things are still good. Heavy lifting and sprinting and fasting as well can increase it. There's tons of research. Cold water immersion, ice baths, ice showers can increase it. There's amazing natural herbs and substances that have been taken for thousands of years in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine that now have been studied and proven. Just off the top of my head, ones I use: Shilajit, amazing; ashwagandha, Tongkat Ali, pine pollen, all organic, wild crafted if you can find them. There's tons of brands that do this. Um, there's a ton of stuff out there, but really it just comes down to healthy sexual life, healthy fitness, sunlight, getting in the cold, doing hard things, and then, yeah, your diet and your cleanliness. Like, if you are wearing clothing like this is cotton, like I try not to wear synthetic clothing anymore. I don't use fluoride in my toothpaste. I don't use deodorant that is full of aluminum and heavy metals, that literally your skin is an organ. A lot of men, the spray they're using, the products, the deodorant, the clothing, the underwear, it's your most sensitive parts of your body, like your groin, under your arms, your neck and head. This skin is absorbing all of that. And we know through various studies, you can say it's a conspiracy, do your own research. We know that tons of those chemicals actively create estrogen and destroy testosterone. Most men actually need to detox estrogen more than they need to create testosterone
Mm.
because there's so much phytoestrogen in the plastics and the genetically modified. We need to stop calling it food, actually. It's not food. Like, it's not that there's organic food. There's food, and then there's toxic garbage that's packaged as food, but is actually poison.
Yeah.
So we need to stop even calling it, oh, it's GMO food. It's not food.
Right. So good, Kevin. And I must say, because we're trying to help men, and men often have the best of intentions, but I would just know, me as a woman who tries to avoid as much toxicity in chemicals and products as possible, and very clean now with my diet, and don't drink, smoke, or any of that stuff. Men will often spray on aftershave, or a good dose of that, thinking maybe it's attractive to women. I will say, I can only speak for me personally. For me, it's the ultimate turn off now. Maybe 20-30 years ago, but now to smell that on a man, the dollop of maybe a little subtle is fine, but some go a bit overboard. So I don't know what other women think, but I just felt the need to put that out there, because men thinking they smell good, but maybe just tone it down a little bit.
I mean, a lot of it's toxic. The whole beauty industry and the male, cosmetic industry, it's completely built on toxic products. Like, just look at the ingredients. If you don't know what it is, if it's not a plant, water, or some kind of herb, guaranteed it's not for your body. If you can't pronounce it, what do you think that's doing to your cells? So that's like a big thing. Obviously, you don't have to go pure natural. Like, there are tons of products now that are wild organic ingredients that you can even eat, that, like, edible makeup, edible, like obviously you wouldn't want to eat it, but you can, because it's literally just from nature, and it smells amazing, like essential oils, obviously. And like, there's, if you want to do that stuff, you can. It's just, what are you choosing to purchase and use?
Yeah. And there's lots of, you just have to look online, for natural deodorants, like not the ones that you buy mainstream. It's definitely a growing market. Toxin-free sunscreen, all these things, they're definitely products. They might cost a little bit more than what you'd pay, but definitely worth it, because, to clean and purify your body, again, it's all in the energetics. It's something, we can just unconsciously pick up on a man, right? So, Kevin, can men and women just be friends? In the big picture, say, for example, a man contacted me and, I didn't feel the attraction. Well, I mean, personally, I wouldn't even be friends. But say a woman says, "Oh, I'm not interested, but let's just be friends." And she genuinely means it. Like, I've read a lot of stuff that it's impossible for men to be friendly with a woman without feeling some sort of sexual dynamic. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is no. The long answer is yes, but it depends. Um, and then, like, again, you can do whatever you want. Of course, men and women can be friends, truly, without, agendas. Is it the norm, though? If I just picked a random person and was like, hey, this woman, like, and then they had a truth serum, and I'm like, tell me the truth. Most of those men, and this is not a nihilist approach or take. This is just, of course, that man, if he's attracted, in the back of his mind, he's like, maybe we could date. Maybe she'll change her mind, or maybe we'll just be hanging out, and then she might just, yeah, let's just have a one night stand. It's real. And just knowing that, obviously, you're not a slave to your urges and your biology. You can choose. Your consciousness can choose what you want to do. And if you dig down with a lot of men and women, with women too, why do you just want to be friends?
Mm.
Why actually are you creating a friendship if there was attraction previously? Is the attraction just gone now? And now we're just going to be, Joe and Jane, just best buds forever. It might be an acquaintance. It might be a light friendship. That's great. The only women that I want to be friends with truly are the partners of my dear brothers that I'm like super bonded with. And potentially single women that are in my community that I enjoy hanging out with at like community events or gatherings. That's exactly it for me personally. I'm extreme. How would my partner feel? How would she feel? It's like, oh, this is my friend so and so, beautiful woman, attractive, single. We're just gonna have coffee. We're just friends. It's like people, of course, are like, that's fucked up. Of course you could do that. That's fine. It's just your own stuff, jealousy. It's like, sure, maybe, but also like, why? Because you have limited time and energy. So I'd ask this to men and women. You have limited time and energy. You might think you have 30,000 best friends on Facebook. You don't. You have 5 people that you're the closest to that you're investing deep time and energy with over years. If those people, like if you're a man and those people aren't men, if you're a woman and those people aren't women, like your 5 closest people, like best friends, like ride or die, who you want to raise your kids with. And then you're saying that an opposite sex person, yeah, my best friend, but I just don't believe you. And until I see otherwise, evidence that demonstrates that. Now, obviously, if someone's non-binary or if they're gay or trans, changes completely. Because if there isn't a sexual dynamic, then friendship would make sense if that's true for you. It's like, oh yeah, this person's my friend, and like, they're in a woman's body, but they're attracted to men, so like we're like bros. I have seen that works. That makes a lot of sense to me because of the dynamic. The problem is just about honesty. If there's any ulterior motive, you'll feel it.
Yes.
And it's going to prevent what you're claiming it is, which is a deep friendship. It's not. You can be acquaintances, you can be friends, but to like act like let's just be friends and that's going to be a fruitful friendship that's completely platonic, it often isn't the case. And again, it comes back to the village and your village and community and context. You live next to each other, your neighbors, you co-work, your colleagues, or you're raising your families. Of course, opposite sex friendships would form and be bonded and make sense. But if you're like meeting a single attractive person to be just friends and having a drink, it's like, what's really going on there? I would play detective. I'd be playing angel's advocate and get curious.
So how does that work with, if you, for a relationship being friends first, like you often hear, we need a good base of friendship and then, a strong relationship is founded on that. So what's the difference there? Some men might think, well, if I'm really good friends with her, if she hasn't got the courage to let him know, and we'll get into how she does that later, but is that what maybe men are thinking, or can women then attract feelings once they do have this base of friendship? How does that all play out?
It can definitely play out that way. I mean, a lot of times attraction is just based on proximity and consistency. So say you've been friends for a while and you didn't necessarily consider them like, oh, that's a potential partner, or I want to date them. You actually never considered it, but you see each other a lot. You get to know each other and form that. And then you're like, wait, like I'm feeling something. That can be really beautiful when that happens organically. And I think it does happen somewhat often. Now, the idea that you need to be friends first to date, if you're attracted from the beginning and you think you can go into the friend zone first, and that I think is a mistake. If you're attracted and there's desire, just be honest. Start there. Don't be like, oh, well, let's just try being friends first. Famous last words.
So good. Okay, I did have another question. I didn't come armed with questions, as you know. I just like to go with the flow where possible. Okay, a woman's responsibility. So say, for example, I don't know, let's start with social media. What's a woman's responsibility if she just gets a hello in the inbox? Let's start with that. Does she have to, well, I know there's no have tos, but should she reply? Should she just ignore it if she's not interested?
I mean, if it's just a hello or a hi, you don't know the person, there's zero attraction, that's a delete. And if it's like awkward and like you look at the like maybe that's a block. Like I would say there's zero responsibility for that woman to respond to a message like that. Now, if it's a man she knows about or is already attracted to, or it's like a really good message, um, you know, again, there's no responsibility. But if you are practicing the art of polarity, if you are single or if you're wanting to attract a partner, I would definitely respond and be honest and like play along if it feels good. And as soon as it doesn't feel good, or as soon as you're like not going to be a good fit and you've already started the conversation, let them know. And just don't ghost. Like ghosting is just irresponsible. It's completely ridiculous. You're saying no without saying it. So just say it because it's respectful to the other person.
Okay. So for women, I mean, obviously, a lot of women are very sensitive about hurting men's feelings. There might be other women who absolutely don't care, but most of us have got a heart. Um, what words could we use to successfully portray the message that we're not interested in pursuing a relationship without, with minimal pain to the man?
It's the classic, positive sandwich or compliment sandwich. Like, I'm so grateful that, hey, I really respect you. I'm so grateful that you reached out and like expressed your attraction. I don't feel reciprocal. I don't feel attracted. I'm not looking for that kind of relationship right now. And thank you for being direct. So you create a sandwich of like positive, drop the truth bomb, positive. So like you can be nice and playful about it. You don't have to just say like, ooh, gross, or like, no way. Like, a lot of women will get mean they're not even mean normally. It's because they feel uncomfortable. So they have to repulse the energy instead of just being with their own discomfort, which is their people pleaser. I don't want to hurt his feelings. I don't want to be seen as a bitch. I don't want to. So a lot of women, like when you're rejecting a man or telling him no, that's your work. Can you do it politely, directly, not self-sabotaging by saying going along when it's a no, or not self-sabotaging by ghosting and not giving yourself a chance to have an adult conversation with compassion.
Yeah, because I imagine the easiest way is to just say, oh, I'm not looking for a relationship, but we can be friends. And then the man sort of doesn't know how to take that. And then he might try pursuing a bit more. And in the end, she's just like maybe responding less and less, leaving him to figure it out for himself. And the other way around, of course, which is lacks courage to be direct on both the man and the woman's part. I mean, I would find it's much easier just to be direct. It might, tug at the heartstrings at the time, but I'd rather just know. And in that respect, I give the respect to also let the other party know the same way, because treat people as you would want to be treated, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Where else can we take this conversation, Kevin, that we haven't touched on?
I mean, I feel like we've covered most aspects I could think of in some great detail.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think a lot of people, yeah, they don't even understand why they're either in the friend zone or putting people in the friend zone. And just a little self-reflection and heart searching, soul searching would reveal that there's actually a lot there. And it's usually not a good practice. It's not nice. It doesn't create intimacy. And it actually often, if you find for a lot of people, including myself in the past, it's all based on people pleasing. It's a trauma response. It's called fawning. So you're fawning instead of just saying no, or instead of just saying the truth of how you feel.
So, okay, a point we haven't made is okay, so a man being authentic to himself, like say he knows a woman he's attracted to, feels a certain way about XYZ, but he doesn't. He doesn't do this fawning, this people pleasing of softening his opinions and his beliefs and his truth or his knowing to please her. He's confident to stand in his own knowing, and she's just got to deal with that. He doesn't change his authentic knowing inside to try and soften who he is to her, right?
Ideally, yeah. And that's what would help her feel like, oh, wow, like
Yeah.
this is a man I can trust and like actually get to know because he's not just collapsing.
Yeah. And this also goes into the energetics of protection, because we know if we know a man feels a certain way about XYZ, but he's softening his truth to try and please us, energetically, we feel that we're the ones in control. So we can't rely on him to stand in his truth when the time is necessary and protect us, right?
That's a big dynamic for sure. I mean, the fawning can go the other way too. I think a lot of women putting men in the friend zone is fawning. I know I'm not attracted to you, but let's just be friends. That is often fawning or people pleasing instead of just leaving it there. There's no reason to pursue a connection. Can do that respectfully. I think a lot of women, like you said, it's good to be sensitive to men's feelings, obviously. So it creates connection and intimacy, but you can't tiptoe around it. You can let that man have his own experience. You're not responsible for it.
Okay, so for women who might be interested in a man but feel they've been friend zoned by the man, what can she do to understand if she is actually friend zoned, or is there a possibility of something more?
On that one, I'd say the same thing I would say to men. That woman's time would be better spent connecting with her sisters and dating or flirting with men that are choosing her. Because no man that's interested in you truly would ever put you in the friend zone. He would pursue you. So if a man has put you in the friend zone, you're not being chosen, which means you should not wait around.
Good one. I have something else then. Okay, it slipped my mind. All right. Well, okay, that one's gone. Sorry. All right. Well, Kevin, if there's nothing else we can get into here, we can wrap it up. So, unless I think of that one I just had in my mind, let people know what services you offer, please, and where people can find you.
Yeah, thank you for another great conversation, Gemma. There's a lot of angles in this one. I do enjoy speaking about it. And yeah, people can find me on all the major platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube being the main ones. KevinOrosz.com, OROSZ.com. Kevin Orosz is my name and my website, and you can find all that stuff. I write a blog on Substack as well. So you can find my newsletter where I share a bunch of master classes all around this dating, polarity, dynamics, relationships. I'm actually going to be moving away from just focusing on the relationship stuff and actually getting back to conscious sales, like growing your business, like, really wanting to like help the coaching industry evolve as things are really changing and help people with their business, like really hit their income goals and serve clients powerfully. So I'm actually excited to go back to that since, yeah, I've been doing the relationship kind of all in coaching and courses and master classes for about 2 years. And I feel like that season is up, although I still will be offering that.
Great. And you're still in the States. You moved recently back from Bali, is that right?
Yeah,
Whereabouts in
I'm
the
in here
States are
here in
you?
Texas and Austin.
Yeah. Super. I remember now what this is, and a great way to sort of wrap this up. So I'll say my understanding, and then I'd love you to expand into your understanding. So you kept saying, bring it back to self, to inner work. And I mean, my understanding of dynamics is the more healing you do on yourself and raise your own inner frequency. And it's often a journey of maybe years of being single and even being celibate to actually reclaim our power, do our healing, get back our purity, and then we'll, in the energetics, the partnership that's meant for you will, come in energetically. So, it's not about, focusing, I've got to get a woman, I've got to get a woman, I've got to get a woman. It's, yeah, you focus on, well, the men being the best man you can possibly be, and the women will focus on being the best woman we can possibly be, and be happy being single, and being happy being celibate, and being happy just, stepping back into our sovereignty as an individual, and then bringing that to a union.
That's the ideal right there. that interdependence.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow. Well, I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much, Kevin. Always such a pleasure talking to you. And
Thank you, Gemma.
thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, Kevin.